here. First things first, Undisputed comes up right after we go off the air. Jenny Taft, good morning. What do you guys have on the show today?
Is Chris Broussard there?
Good morning.
Yes.
What was that?
Is Chris Broussard there?
You know what? He is going to be here today because we have to get the latest about the beef that's going on with Kevin Durant. We don't really understand where this is coming from. So, yes, we will talk to Chris Broussard about what's going on with Durant. We're also going to have Snoop Dogg in studio with us, so that's pretty exciting because Snoop, a lot of drama with his Steelers, with the Lakers. We're also, of course, going to talk about the Raptors and Kawhi. This is a packed show, guys, coming up on Undisputed, so we hope that you'll tune in and join us a bit later. Jenna, send it back to you and the guys.
Tell Uncle Snoop I need him in New York. Yo, he know me.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Jenny, thanks. Have a good show. Time now for Say What? Rookie Kyler Murray started off OTAs by bringing the team donuts, which led to an interesting conversation on our show yesterday. Say what?
When was the last time you had a nice, delicious donut?
Full donut? I'm
No,
not.
just maybe a
never.
quarter.
One of these Jenna Wolf vintage lies. Never
You've never had a donut?
I've never had one. I've never had a full donut. I can't remember it. Maybe once in college. Crazy night.
Wow.
What are
We might have
these
to- we
vintage
can
Jenna
see.
Wolf? Look at her face.
Okay, look.
When's the last time you had kale, Nick?
Jenna, you
Yeah.
and I are
Yeah.
the veterans around here.
Yes.
We're going to have our rookie bring in some donuts tomorrow.
Okay,
All right,
I'll eat it. You know what? I'll eat one on the air, and I'll show you that I don't mind eating the food. I
It'll
just
be the
don't
first
order
one of
it.
your whole life.
Okay,
Tomorrow, the
enough.
first
Enough.
Well, Chris Carter, you said a rookie needs to bring in donuts. Jenna Wolf made a deal.
Okay.
So here are the donuts, Jenna Wolf. You don't, of course, have to eat all of these, but you can take your pick. Delicious assortment. I'll even take care of the read for the next segment. There's your plate.
Yeah.
A deal's a deal.
And
Pick
if you
whichever
don't want to do a
like.
whole one, Jenna, I'll split it
Nope.
with you to be able to take some. Because I don't think she can stomach a whole one on the show.
No. I think a deal's a deal, Miss Jenna Wolf. So take your pick of that gorgeous selection and go right ahead.
It's early.
Oh.
Okay.
It's not early. You got up at 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
Jenna.
you've been up
It's
for
late.
7 hours, Jenna. Grab one of these.
Easy, Nick.
There you go.
Just back
There
off.
we go. It is a
Chocolate?
delicious breakfast food.
Okay.
Jenna Wolf, we don't have a ton of time.
I know.
Okay.
I'm doing this because I love you both,
No, 'cause
and
you
I
said
will
you
go to
would.
the end of
You
the
wouldn't
earth
lie.
with you. Never would
No.
lie.
You love me.
Oh, there we go, Jenna Wolf.
Oh, there you go.
All right, while
Jenna.
she eats that, let me read this for her. Let's shift to the Warriors.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Let's
of course
go.
it is.
When did they make them like this?
Forever. That's how they taste. That's why they're delicious. Specifically, Steph Curry. Steph's been lights out since Durant went down, averaging over 35 points per game.
You got
It's earned
12
him
of them.
high praise from Charles Barkley. Chuck said Curry has put his name back in the conversation for best player in the world. Chris Carter, in your opinion, is Steph back in the conversation for best player in the world?
Yeah, and you're back in your seat as a co-host and everything. Get this program back on the right track. Steph should be in the conversation. We know with him and Durant being on the same team, there's certain things as far as the MVP for the season, we knew they would cancel each other out. Like, it's impossible for them to be involved in that discussion. But now, with what we've seen and how unusual this playoffs have been, Boogie Cousins gets hurt first round. KD dominates the Clippers after the Warriors struggle. And he played the best basketball we had ever seen him play. He gets hurt. And now Steph Curry comes in and is playing at a level that we had never seen him play in the postseason. So, yes, him, KD, Giannis, LeBron, we're going to throw him we're going to grandfather him in. He's grandfather, though, old as he is right now. Giannis and Kawhi, those should be the discussion as far as moving forward. Someone will have the title F Giannis, F Kawhi, and if KD doesn't come back, Steph potentially with Golden State, they will have the fictitious title once we end this playoff run, Nick.
Let's just go back 3 years ago this week. 3 years ago to where we are right now. This was, at that moment in time, a three-horse race. LeBron James had left Miami. He had gone to Cleveland. He had played brilliantly in their first NBA Finals appearance, but lost. So it's back-to-back Finals losses for LeBron. That year, they had fired their coach. They had won fewer games than people expected. LeBron averaged the fewest points he'd averaged in nearly a decade. Steph was en route to winning a unanimous MVP, but Steph was down 3-1 to who? To Kevin Durant. and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And there was real discussion about Steph overtaking LeBron in the regular season as the best player alive.
Yes.
And then Durant potentially overtaking Steph within that playoff series, while LeBron was out east and everyone thought just getting prepared to be beaten by whomever comes out west. KD then loses and doesn't play well in those final 3 games. He kind of gets crossed off the list. Steph and the Warriors are then a few weeks later up 3-1, and he is right there to take the title. Then we know what happened, what LeBron did and what LeBron did in the years that followed that made this now a run for second best player alive. But Steph was this close until then he and KD came together. And Steph's numbers took a haircut. His MVP votes fell off the map. The All-NBA teams even didn't come as easy for he or Kevin Durant. Both of those guys signed up for that knowingly. It didn't make them worse basketball players. It didn't make them any...
That's a very good point.
And so those two guys, it was a 3-person race 3 years ago. Kawhi has now reasserted himself in that race, and Giannis wasn't anywhere close to it 3 years ago, but he has reasserted himself in this race. It is 5 guys, and for the next year, no matter what happens the rest of this year, someone will hold it, but it won't be firm. Next year will be like the first year that we've had since the first year Jordan retired, when nobody knew who it was going to be. It ended up being Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes.
He proved it over the course of the next 5 seasons that he was the best player in the NBA. But the guys you mentioned, LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, Steph, and KD, assuming KD leaves, because then we're going to get back to the regular NBA kind of homeostasis.
Would you agree that everyone on that list you just mentioned, you could plop them into any team in the NBA and they would succeed? How much of Steph Curry's success is because there was an entire system and team and players and talent and coach all built around him and what he does? If you took him out of that and just dropped him in another system, would he be as successful the way those 5 guys would be?
Well, this is the thing. Steph can shoot the basketball. As long as the basket is 10 feet, and Steph's on there, he's gonna have an impact on the basketball game. So I don't care if they play 4 corners. I don't care what kind of system Steph's gonna play in. They could have 3 big men. Steph is still gonna be a great basketball player. But I don't think it's fair to compare, because Steph, they knew Steph's skill set. Steph was also paired with Clay. They have opposite skill sets, even though they both shoot the basketball well. One's a dribbler of the basketball, and the other is a stationary, move it out the ball, sticking a jump shot. So it's really hard to make that comparison. I believe that KD and Steph coming together, even though we didn't see with them together better basketball, I believe both of them at this time are better basketball players. But when you create everything around your organization, guys to build set screens for Steph, and Steph is a ball handler. So Kevin Durant playing forward at 6'11", 7 foot, whatever he is, it's hard to compare a guy who's going to go down and get a spot on the court compared to a guy who's going to come up and set everyone else up in the way that offense sets up other players. It's just hard to make that comparison with Steph with the other players.
And listen, I think there are certain guys whose games are more easily transferable. I think the guys on this list whose games are most easily transferable to success in any system are LeBron, Durant, and Kawhi. I think Giannis, there is a degree of, because he doesn't have a shot himself, you need to surround him with shooters. With Steph, because he can be a bit of a liability defensively, surrounding him with a guy like Klay Thompson, who can take on the bigger role defensively against the opposing team's best perimeter player, that helps a lot. But we shouldn't get it twisted and act as if KD hasn't benefited greatly from Steph's presence. KD has benefited greatly from, on almost any other team, every night you play Kevin Durant's team, you're game planning to stop Kevin Durant. Because of Steph's shooting ability and range shooting ability, you almost have to game plan for Durant secondarily to game planning for Steph. But Steph is in the ideal system to exhibit his strength. Similar to what, by the way, Harden is in Houston. They have built a team around James Harden's strengths in Houston. We saw this year, LeBron was not in the ideal system. And while his numbers were the same as they were last year in Cleveland, his team's effectiveness was not as much. Giannis, 2 years ago, the Jason Kidd system wasn't the ideal system. This year it was. You saw the team take off. Durant, I don't think, is in the ideal system to exhibit purely his greatness. He's in the ideal system to win, but once he goes to the Knicks and they have all that cap space and they can build their perfect version of a Kevin Durant-centric team, then we'll see the very best version of Durant with the championship pedigree he earned in Golden State. We are seeing once again the best version of Steph Curry, which from a statistical profile is absent of Kevin Durant, even if it's not there from ability to consistently win championships.
I got 27 donuts.
Yeah, you ate one bite of the donut. That makes you a liar. Go ahead, sorry.
I tasted it. It was delicious. My body doesn't understand, but I'm going to read. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 5 tonight in Milwaukee. Series tied at 2 games apiece. Bucks won the first 2, then lost the next 2, setting up a best-of-3 between Giannis and Kawhi. Chris Carter.